The W-4 and W-2 forms serve different purposes in the context of income taxes in the United States. The W-4 form is used by employees to provide their employers with information on how much federal income tax to withhold from their paychecks, whereas the W-2 form is used by employers to report an employee's earnings and taxes withheld to both the employee and the IRS. There is no direct process to transfer information from a W-4 to a W-2. Instead, here are the general steps for both forms. W-4 form, Employee's Withholding Certificate. Complete the W-4 when you start a new job or experience a significant life change, e.g., marriage, the birth of a child. You'll need to complete a W-4 form. Provide your employer with your name, address, marital status, and the number of allowances you want to claim. Consider additional withholding. If you want additional federal income tax withheld from your paycheck beyond what is calculated based on your allowances, you can specify an extra dollar amount on the form. Submit the form. Give the completed W-4 form to your employer's Human Resources or Payroll Department. They will use the information to determine how much federal income tax to withhold from your paychecks. W-2 form, Wage and Tax Statement. Wait for distribution. Employers are required to provide a copy of your W-2 form by January 31st of the year following the tax year. You should receive it from your employer or through your employer's payroll system. Review your W-2. Carefully review the information on your W-2 form for accuracy. Ensure that your name, social security number, and income details are correct. Use the information. Use the information on your W-2 form to complete your federal and state income tax returns. The earnings and tax withholding data on the W-2 are essential for calculating your tax liability or refund. File your taxes. When you prepare your income tax return, usually Form 1040, you'll enter the information from your W-2 in the appropriate sections. Follow the tax software's or tax preparer's instructions to ensure accurate reporting. Keep copies. Keep a copy of your W-2 for your records. Employers are also required to submit copies to the IRS and state tax authorities, so your tax return should match the information reported by your employer. In summary, the W-4 form is completed by employees to inform their employers how much federal income tax to withhold from their paychecks, while the W-2 form is provided by employers to report an employee's earnings and tax withholding for the previous tax year. There's no direct transfer of information from a W-4 to a W-2. Instead, you provide information on the W-4 to ensure accurate withholding throughout the year, and you receive a W-2 at the end of the year to report your income and taxes paid. A short description on tax compliance. Tax compliance refers to the act of individuals, businesses, or other entities adhering to the tax laws and regulations of their respective jurisdictions. This involves accurately and timely reporting their income, expenses, deductions, and other financial information to tax authorities and paying the taxes they owe in accordance with the tax laws. Tax compliance is essential to avoid legal consequences, such as fines, penalties, or audits, and to maintain the integrity of the tax system. It ensures that taxpayers fulfill their obligations and responsibilities in a lawful and transparent manner while contributing to public revenue and government programs. How do you transfer a W-4 to the IRS? A W-4 form is not directly transferred to the IRS by individuals or employers. Instead, the W-4 form is used by employees to provide their employers with information on how much federal income tax to withhold from their paychecks. The employer uses the information provided on the W-4 to calculate the correct amount of federal income tax withholding. Here's how the process generally works. Complete the W-4 when you start a new job or experience a significant life change, e.g., marriage, the birth of a child. You'll need to complete a W-4 form. On the form, you'll provide your employer with your name, address, marital status, and the number of allowances you want to claim. Consider additional withholding. If you want to have additional federal income tax withheld from your paycheck beyond what is calculated based on your allowances, you can specify an extra dollar amount on the form. Submit the form. Give the completed W-4 form to your employer's Human Resources or Payroll Department. They will use the information on the form to determine how much federal income tax to withhold from your paychecks. Review your pay stub. After you've submitted the W-4, you should regularly review your pay stubs to ensure that the correct amount of federal income tax is being withheld based on the information you provided on the W-4. File your taxes. At the end of the tax year, you'll use the information from your W-2 form, provided by your employer, to prepare your federal income tax return, usually Form 1040. The earnings and tax withholding data on the W-2, not the W-4, are used to calculate your tax liability or refund. Keep a copy. It's a good practice to keep a copy of your completed W-4 for your records in case you need to make updates or refer to it in the future. The IRS does not typically receive individual W-4 forms directly from employees. Instead, the IRS receives information about your income and withholding from your employer when they submit their payroll reports and W-2 forms at the end of the tax year. The W-4 form primarily serves as a communication tool between you and your employer to ensure that the correct amount of federal income tax is withheld from your paychecks throughout the year. How do you transfer W-4 to W-2 form? There is no direct process to transfer information from a W-4 form to a W-2 form because these forms serve different purposes and are not connected in that way. Here's a breakdown of each form's purpose. W-4 form. Employees Withholding Certificate. The W-4 form is completed by employees and is used to provide information to their employers about how much federal income tax should be withheld from their paychecks. It includes details like your name, address, marital status, and the number of allowances you want to claim, which help your employer calculate the appropriate withholding amount. W-2 form. Wage and tax statement. The W-2 form is provided by your employer to report your earnings and the taxes withheld from your paychecks over the course of a tax year. It summarizes your annual income, tax withholdings, and other relevant tax-related information. Your employer sends a copy of your W-2 form to both you and the IRS. You do not transfer information from your W-4 form to your W-2 form because the two forms serve different functions. The W-4 form helps your employer determine how much federal income tax to withhold from your paychecks throughout the year. The W-2 form reports the actual income you earned and the taxes that were withheld from your paychecks over the past tax year. To clarify, you don't take information from your W-4 and put it onto a W-2. Instead, your employer uses the information from your W-4 to calculate the appropriate withholding from your paychecks throughout the year, and then they use this withholding information to prepare your W-2 at the end of the tax year. You, in turn, use the information on your W-2 to prepare and file your annual income tax return with the IRS.